When we're young, we're taught that heroes wear capes and fight crime. Even television shows and movies support this. Yet, as we get older, we quickly learn that real heroes aren't the ones with fancy weapons. They're usually just ordinary people who rise to the occasion when it comes like no one else will. Colorado resident Angelo Mondragon was one such courageous person. While he was wading in Colorado's Windsor Lake one day, he felt something brush against his leg in the water. As soon as he realized what it was, he was horrified and he could either run away or do something heroic. Now, back to the story. When we think of heroes, we usually picture Superman or Batman. These are characters we've known since we were kids, and they primarily rely on superpowers or special skills to save the world. However, that notion tends to change as we get older. As we grow older, however, we realize that heroes can come in any shape or size and from practically any background. Sure enough, you don't have to be the heir to a family fortune or use otherworldly powers to make a difference. A hero can be someone who dedicates every waking minute of their lives to helping those less fortunate in the hopes to make a difference in the world. Heroes can also be someone who's just in the right place at the right time. Like many of his neighbors, Colorado resident Angelo Mondragon absolutely loved spending as much time outdoors as possible. It was even better when the sun was shining and the weather was warm during the summer months. Angelo loved nothing more than to take his entire family out on outdoor trips. Luckily, his family enjoyed having fun in the sun as much as he did. One particular hot afternoon, Angelo wanted to take his family to a spot where they could cool off, so he brought them to Windsor Lake. It was a beautiful, scenic spot they'd been to before, and they were all ready to have a great time. By the time they arrived at the lake, it was full of families just like them, trying to keep cool in the sweltering heat. The Mondragon family quickly claimed a spot on the shore and probably ran off to take a refreshing dip in the lake. Angelo started to wade out into the lake further than the rest of the family. As he did so, he felt something brush against him. When he turned to see what it was, he was completely horrified. It was a child's foot. Angelo couldn't believe what he was seeing. He reached out his hand and grabbed onto it before it floated away. That was the moment he'd realized he'd found an unconscious child. Angelo was shocked. He cradled a girl whose name he later learned was Satani Hernandez and swam screaming to shore. An ambulance was immediately called, and Satani was rushed to the nearest hospital in an attempt to resuscitate her. As it turns out, there were two main issues that led to Satani's frightening situation. Her mother wasn't keeping a close eye on her, and the little girl was playing in the water without a life vest. Every parent needs to be fully aware of the dangers a lake or even a swimming pool can pose before they allow their child to venture into them. Children as young as Satani, who's just 3 years old, always need constant supervision and proper safety equipment when swimming. After Satani was safely placed inside the ambulance, she was rushed to the medical center of the Rockies in Loveland, Colorado, where doctors and nurses worked hard to resuscitate her. Miraculously, they did so. Satani was then taken to the Children's Hospital in Aurora, Colorado, where she made a full recovery. All of this thanks to the quick-thinking Angelo and the dedicated nurses and doctors who cared for her. Understandably, Satani's mother was completely devastated during the entire ordeal. She felt guilty about what happened, and she saw Angelo as a guardian angel who was in the right place at the right time to help her daughter. When Satani's mother finally spoke with Angelo sometime after the incident, she was in tears and she gave him a big hug. Because of Angelo's heroic actions, her daughter was still alive and well. Not long after the harrowing ordeal took place, Angelo actually visited the Children's Hospital and reunited with Satani. He was overjoyed to see how well the little girl was recovering. Although Satani was only 3, she seemed to be aware of everything that Angelo had done for her. She may have been unconscious at the time Angelo pulled her out of the water, but she still knew this was the man who had saved her life. After chatting for a little while, Angelo wrapped her in a big embrace. It was a touching moment for everyone in the room, with the little girl's doctors, to her mom, and even Angelo's family. If Angelo hadn't been in that exact spot in Lake Windsor that afternoon or reacted the way he did, Satani may never have made it out of the water alive. He truly was a hero for what he did, and he would remember that incredible experience for the rest of his life.